difficult challenge, that is for sure. They've still got plenty to play for this campaign, and of course the Premier League is certainly not beyond them. But damage has been inflicted, and it's at the worst of venues. It's Old Trafford. Yes, City will reflect on a potential red card in the first half for Diogo Dalot, but in terms of performance and chances created, you have to say United shaded both. The final score here at Old Trafford, a day sadly for City fans to forget, reflect upon and move on quickly. United 2, City 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can join Kel.
Good afternoon, Manchester City fans. Thanks for joining us on Matchday Live. Not the result any Manchester City fan wanted to see or maybe even expected going into this game. It is finished. Manchester United 2, Manchester City 0. Manchester United win the 198th derby. Izzy, at half-time, we thought it couldn't get any worse. 0-0. City may be lucky to go in with that scoreline. We hoped for a reaction. There were two changes. Nico O'Reilly comes on for Alain. Phil Foden goes off. Shirky comes on. But there was no reaction. And, in fact, it felt like things did get worse because United scored twice and had the ball in the back of the net a third time, but it was offside. Yeah, really tough day for the club, I think, in terms of, like, the performance. And obviously you never want to lose in the derby. It's, you know, it's a horrible feeling. But yeah, no, I think just you can put your hat on the fact that we just weren't at the races today. And the changes at half-time, obviously I think Cherki came on, he brought in a bit of energy, but he struggled to get on the ball as much as he probably would have liked to have done. Yeah, and it just seemed like we had no answer to the amount of sort of blocks and tackles and resilience that they showed. The fight that they had was, you know, immense, in fairness to them. You have to hold your hat up to that. But yeah, I think all in all, just like a really uncharacteristic performance from City, dominated by a team that wanted it more on the day. Does that feel like kind of that encapsulates the game, really? Because obviously we can maybe go into tactics and moments, but it did really feel, I guess, and it's never a question, obviously, you know, when a player steps onto the pitch, you know they do try their absolute best, but it did feel that United wanted it that bit more. I think you said at half-time, you could feel in their energy, even in them final moments, there's almost like a karate kick, you know, block from Dorgu, and then someone else comes in to slide to win the second shot. I can't remember when we won a second ball today. Yeah, and sometimes I think, you know, tactics are everything in football, and, you know, you have to have a way of playing, a way of setting up and how you're going to beat the team in front of you, but sometimes you can't put a price on wanting it, and I think that it's not that we don't want it. Our players absolutely do want it. They're winners, you know, they're winners through and through the side, but I think just in terms of today, their motivation was through the roof. You know, they've had a tough couple of weeks. You know, there's a lot of turmoil at their club, and that's sometimes easy to galvanise a team together. But we, like we said at half-time, we just weren't ready for how sort of strong they were going to be today. And I think that proved the bit in the end which managed to get them over the line. And we just know that we didn't perform. And they'll know that as well. You go back into their change room and you're like, they'll know that they got away with it today, as in United did, because they were like, we didn't face a Man City team that we knew we were going to face. Yeah. So I think, you know, there are small positives to take out of that. But ultimately, yeah, I think that's a big lesson in just the hardcore truths of football around just wanting it, tackling, fighting, and just, you know, wanting to win and be a winner. The Fabian Delphs, the basics of football. There is one positive, which I'll come to in a second, but let's just work through, obviously, we have to go through key moments of that second half. It's 0-0 at half-time. As I say, we make those changes. Sadly, I can't think of any chances for us to point out that City created, but United created most of them, beginning with the first goal as well, and you know, it was a well-taken goal, but frustrating again from City's point of view. Yeah, it's come from our free kick. Yeah. We had control in that moment, and I think as soon as the ball, you know, breaks into a second phase, we just didn't stay on it, as in keep the attack in their half. They are a counter-attacking team. They've been set up to counter-attack since Ruben Amorim, you know, came in, and that still will live with the players. Still in them. Yeah, it's still in them. They want that's their instincts, and I think the profile that they've got, Brian Mbeumo on the break, Bruno Fernandes, we spoke about him before the game, you know, he's effective, and the pass into him was good. A good finish, in fairness. But I think, you know, one of the positives I'm looking towards is Donnarumma's performance. That's what I was going to say. My word. Head, yeah. And it was obviously the shot that breached him in the end, because it felt like he was maybe going to win the derby almost by himself in a way, or get us a draw. Yeah.
He was outstanding, some of those saves he made. But yeah, no, that first goal was really kind of like the validation for them that they were on top.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we were on the back foot.
Alistair Mann pointed out in commentary, obviously in the stadium, you could feel how much the United fans in Old Trafford were enjoying the performance at 0-0. They get the goal, it galvanised them even more, and then from there it just felt like they kind of went into the next gear and City dropped off, which then resulted in the ball going into the net again through Dorgu. Yeah,
that's right, and I think again another finish where you can highlight the desire to score from Dorgu. The ball across, I can't remember who it was, I think it might have been, was it Dallo? I can't remember off the top of my head, but you know, it's a good ball across. Rico Lewis was in there in the right position. I just felt like he could have just gone and attacked the ball. He didn't. And that gave Dorgu a little bit of a moment to go and attack the ball. And the desire that he showed in that moment was good, and it got them the 2-goal cushion. And unfortunately, at that point, it did feel like it was going to be a very difficult mountain for us to climb.
You mentioned Donnarumma, and I think Donnarumma with this, you know, there was probably 3 or 4 world-class saves there. I can think of the Casemiro chance. There was I can't remember. I think there was another one from
Dorgu first half.
The Dorgu in first half. There was another couple of that. I mean, I feel with Donnarumma, they could have scored another 3, 4.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they also had the ball in the back of the net another 3 times, scored. 2 so close, called offside. That last one, they scored again at the end of the third half. It was Mount had just come on first touch. I mean, it's inches, isn't it, that it was called offside. I mean, it's such a concern.
Yeah, it was, and we spoke about the high line at half-time. You know, it's a risky strategy, but I always believe that, like, we are good enough to keep the ball in their half and, like, almost, like, marshal any counter-attacks that the opposition try. But today, again, we just weren't on it on the ball. We kept giving it away quite easily by our standards, and then that gave United an invitation to then go and counter-attack and use the space that our high line was leaving. And I think in the first half, Donnarumma, he swept up one early on, which, you know, was a good start position from him. I thought, again, he was outstanding for us today, Donnarumma, but unfortunately those 2 goals he couldn't keep out.
Well, what was, obviously, we know how much what they came with, but can you pinpoint like why we didn't see what we were used to see? Even with people stepping up, I mean, uncharacteristically, Rodri giving the ball away.
Yeah.
And I know when you see Rodri give the ball away, I go, no, we're really in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's like you flip it and you go, if Rodri's on it, we're on it as a team.
Yeah.
And Rodri was off it today, so can you paint that on, you know, not to blame Rodri. There's no blame involved, but, like, if Rodri is uncharacteristically giving the ball away, it almost probably sends a shockwave through the team to go, oh my God, we've got our Ballon d'Or winning holding midfielder who's unbelievable, who's giving the ball away, and against a team who arguably, you know, people don't fear United as much as they used to. But no, I think from their part, they wanted it, and I think from us, we just didn't find those connections in the final third, the passing. It was like I said at half-time, it's just like, for some reason, a team that we've got full of belief and exciting talent, we just didn't believe in ourselves. And I think that's just a little bit, and maybe it was just one of them where you hang your hat on it and go, on the day, we just weren't up for it. But I think that's a concern, you know, you want to be up for a derby. Thought Haaland was quiet today, he didn't get that many touches on the ball at all. It was a shame we couldn't get him. Foden subbed at half-time. But yeah, no, it just felt a little bit very unlike us, and you just like to think that we can get back to being ourselves very quickly again. Yeah, well, we'll have a little chat to see how we might go about that. But first, let's go back to Old Trafford. I'm sure with a very disappointed and low FG, Michael Brown and Luke Stanley.
Full time from Old Trafford. A very, very tough defeat to take, especially because it's a Manchester derby, Michael Brown.
Yeah, for sure. I think we stood here and we said, it's derby day, we're excited about what's going to happen. We know there'll be a reaction with the new manager, and there was. We started a little bit slow in some of the passing. It gave them confidence. They jumped on top of us, and right throughout we didn't create enough. Erling Haaland had a shot, didn't he, which was blocked. We didn't really see much after that. We were nice to the eye at times in some of our play, nowhere near to the levels we would expect. We made mistakes, we got counter-attacked. It could have been a lot worse. We understand as well, we've got young players, we take positives of gaining experience in Manchester derbies. We're missing players as well, so we can look for that sort of angle on it. But overall, we were a little bit out for today. We don't often say that, and I'm sure the manager would agree. With the ball and without, we had to do much better. Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be from a Manchester City side. We move on to Bodo in the Champions League. Freezing cold, you'll be going out there. You looking forward to that trip?
I think the trip will feel a little bit longer now after that, but at the end of the day we can move on to another competition straight away. And yeah, hopefully we can, you know, if we get a win midweek, there's a little bit of a positive on the last few days and whatnot, and we can maybe get ourselves in that top 8 of the Champions League and secure a spot in the round of 16. So we need to get a win on midweek now straight away.
I mean, Brownie, we've been here before. We've been here in a lot worse positions. I mean, it seems like the world's always ending when Manchester City lose, especially in a Manchester derby, and fans who watch it will be feeling the same pain we all are. What is your message to people who are watching, who are feeling a little bit downbeat?
I think I can look at it and say, right, how do we build? Because it's the Premier League is what we want. Do we want a successful side? I mean, it just shows you how much domination we've had, about how much this stadium has just celebrated beating Manchester City.
Absolutely.
So let's look at that as a positive. Go, like, we've been streets ahead of this football club. We still are. Bad day. We have to go and turn it round. Champions League now is so important. I think that's the point of it. Cup competitions, we'll see almost in the week. We've got a little bit of a foot for a visit to Wembley. Job needs doing and needs completing. Premier League, we've got to recover, we've got to keep pushing, add the pressure wherever we can. That's the positives. It's a disappointing day. Whatever position you're in, you lose Derby Day. Whether you're in the middle of the table, whether you're towards the bottom, whether you're winning at any, like the top of the Premier League, Derby Day hurts. But it comes another day, the middle of the week. It's good that there's a game coming quite quick.
Yeah, there is a game coming quite quickly. We will see you in Bodo for the Champions League. A tough day for Manchester City in the Manchester derby, but a lot of football still to play throughout the rest of the season.
Thanks to FG, Luke, Michael for all their work there at Old Trafford. I would not want to be stood on that pitch full time. I'm glad I'm here next to you, Izzy. Right, here's what it does to the Premier League table. There's still a lot of football to be played. Arsenal, obviously, the 5:30 kickoff, 5:30 against Nottingham Forest. I mean, with that win there for United, I mean, obviously there is still a bit of that gap to Aston Villa, but puts them into fourth, which, as we know, is European places. If they win, or even, get a draw, they go 7 points clear, Arsenal. I know there's still a lot of football. It's hard. It's a big old gap to close that. I felt it after Brighton, but that today just feels possibly a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get... City have never been the team because we've always been top and being the ones who are being chased and just taking care of business. But I feel like now we're going to have to start thinking, right, we've got to hope that other teams do us a favour.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, again, playing Arsenal today, is that right? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 5:30.
5:30 kickoff. You've got to hope that Forest, keep that deficit where it is right there, 6 points. Like you say, there is a possibility for Arsenal to go 9 points clear, which is a very strong position for them to be in. But like you say, this never over till it's over. There's 16 games left. There's a lot of football to be played. But I think there's two things in the Arsenal team at the moment where I'm like, they've got the points gap and they've got the performances as well.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to take some serious beating at the moment, but you cannot give up. You've got to keep going, you never know. And I think we've got our own sort of prerogative to work on with the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
Of course, the league will take care of itself, but that performance today, let's just hope that was just a complete one-off.
Yeah.
Because if we continue to play like that, it's going to be,
Yeah.
we're not going to put ourselves in a strong position, but we know we can be better. So I think it's about... very easy to say straight after it, but dust ourselves, and then you've got to get ready for the next three coming up in the next week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've seen as a lacklustre, would be the word I'd use, performance in the whole of Pep's era. I think even last year when we had, all those injuries and we were struggling, players still turned up and left it all on the pitch. I just felt like that wasn't there today. But Les, we turn our attention and we step away from this. We're back in action Tuesday night. It's a chance to put it right, dust ourselves down, and to secure that all-important automatic qualification in the Champions League. That's got to be, that's got to be it. A little away trip over to Bodo Glimt. I think, the players, there's nothing better. Pep will know this before. This is where you've got to get the players rallied up, and say, look, we play again in 3 days. We've got to travel over to Europe. We've got to play, a tough fixture in the Champions League. But this is a fantastic opportunity to get back to ourselves so that you then hit the Wolves game the following weekend in good shape, ready to do a job. And then you tee yourself up for the following Champions League fixture against Galatasaray, I think it is. Yeah. So I think, it's just, this is football. It's thick and fast. The games come at you, and we've got to let that go and make sure that we're on it the next Premier League fixtures, because we need to keep that points gap as tight as possible. Absolutely. Izzy, thank you so much as well. I think we still managed to find a bit of positivity. We did. Thanks, as I say again, to Michael FG and to Luke over at Old Trafford. Thanks to Alistair Mann for his commentary. Izzy, thank you to you as well. Loved being in the studio with you. Thank you to all of you for joining as well. Sadly, not the result any of us wanted. Manchester City United winning 2-0 in the derby, but we go again on Tuesday night. And then I'm next going to see you, and this is some great news. Matchday Live is on tour this season.
Cool.
So for the Wolves game next weekend, I'm going to be live from China in Shenzhen alongside Scott Carson and Nader Manua.
How cool.
Very, very cool indeed.
Where was my invite?
Well, Izzy, don't worry, I'm working on it for the next trip, don't worry.
Brilliant, thanks.
So I really look forward to seeing you then. But of course, we'll have Tuesday night, then I'll be back with you at the weekend live from China. Make sure you don't miss it. Not the result that we wanted, but we go again on Tuesday night. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Have a lovely weekend, and we'll leave you with this. The man who made it into our top 10 appearances in a Manchester City shirt, that is something to smile about. None other than Mr. Bernardo Silva. See you later.